A surprise release could foreshadow the return of the Pats' most talented player. That's where we start. This is Locked On Patriots.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's happening? I am your host, Nick Cattles, born and raised in New England, also co-host of the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles. I've been covering the team for the last 16 years and a sports talk show host veteran as well. Coming up, we take a scalpel to the Josh McDaniels offense from week one and tell you what has changed and what needs to change moving forward. Also, one of the most underrated parts of camp ends up being one of the only bright spots for the Pats offense in week one. But first, the possible domino effect from a surprise cut of a camp standout. We appreciate you joining the show, making us your first listen, and for being an everydayer. The Locked On Patriots podcast, a proud partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. One of the best stories of camp has been cut. DJ James is gone. Cornerback, originally from the Seattle Seahawks, came into camp with the Patriots, won a lot of people over, and not just because he speaks in the third person, but because he had a good camp, if not very good camp. One of the surprise names, sticky coverage. And it was pretty obvious that DJ James was going to make this roster with a couple of weeks left of camp. I mean, that's how solidified he was. Felt really good about what he did. The team felt really good about what he did. And he was out there, active roster on Sunday against the Raiders. But now he's gone. And it's a fascinating decision because first and foremost, this could, and I stress, this could mean the return of Christian Gonzalez. We are now about 6 weeks deep post-injury to Gonzalez's hamstring. And if it's a grade 1 strain, it's 1 to 3 weeks. If it's a grade 2 strain, it's 3 to 6. If it's beyond that, a grade 3, then we're talking about 6+ weeks. Obviously, the team doesn't feel like Gonzalez has a strain that is bad enough to place him on injured reserve and say, just take the next 4 weeks and chill out. Just wait it out. That wasn't the case. They could have put him on IR short term like Jelani Tavai. They didn't. So now that we're just about 6 weeks post-injury, it would feel like it's time for Gonzalez to come back as long as he did not have a grade 3. And with the deductive reasoning we just shared with you, we have to feel pretty confident that it's a grade 2. So this could mean the return of Gonzalez. Get rid of one cornerback, activate Gonzalez, put him on the roster, get him ready for Sunday in Miami. And if Gonzalez does come back, if that's the reason why this move has been made, it's a huge lift for not only the defensive backs, but also the defense overall. Christian Gonzalez is so good that he changes the dynamics. He could change your coverage. He could change your philosophy as a defensive coordinator. And with Gonzalez, along with Carlton Davis, you have what this Patriot staff envisioned when they signed Davis, which is 2 corners that can lock guys down in man press coverage. So it would be a huge help for the cornerback room if they get their best guy back. It would be a huge help for this defense if they get their best guy back. Because if you have Gonzalez, who you can trust thoroughly, and you have Carlton Davis, who you can trust mostly, and you have Alex Austin, who was okay against the Raiders as your third corner to go along with the very experienced Marcus Jones, then you feel very confident in playing the man coverage that you played against the Raiders. You feel even more confident in that man coverage that you played against the Raiders. And man, would it be perfect timing to come back to play against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle after the Dolphins struggled mightily on offense in week 1 at Indianapolis. It would be the perfect time to throw Christian Gonzalez out there with Davis and say, have at him, fellas. make Tua Tagovailoa's life miserable. But it's not just the possibility of Gonzalez coming back, why maybe, just maybe, James gets cut. You look at DJ James getting cut, and it could just simply mean that the Patriots like themselves, maybe love themselves, some Corey Ballentine. Maybe they want to see more of Ballentine. Ballentine's a guy who was a core special teamer with the Green Bay Packers. He had really built the reputation of being pretty darn good on special teams. DJ James played a few snaps on special teams against the Raiders. And as Mike Reese pointed out just a few moments ago with his post, Raiders Gunners did have some success. So maybe this is just as simple as it has nothing to do with Gonzalez, but it actually has to do with Ballentine and a little bit of shifting the very bottom of the roster and making sure that you keep Ballentine there. You don't put him back on the practice squad. You keep him on the team. He's ready to go as your core special teams guy. Maybe that's just a simple move. And maybe you want to bring another body on at another position. Ballentine's an experienced guy. This is his 6th year in the NFL, so he's been around the block. He understands his role. He knows he's not going to be a starting corner. He understands that it's special teams that is going to keep him getting paychecks from the league. So maybe it's just a simple swap of guys that are towards the end of that cornerback depth on your active roster. And we saw some of this, late last week. We didn't get to talk about it on the podcast, but the Patriots, right before that Raiders game, I think it was Saturday, they ended up dropping Jeremiah Farms, who just today ends up signing back and going to the practice squad, and they make that Farms for Durden change on the defensive line. And that was in the 23rd hour right before the Raiders game on Sunday. So I think the Patriots roster, as we've had these conversations leading up to the regular season, and we're going to continue to have these conversations throughout the regular season, this team is not very deep. And so what you're going to see, I believe, is some decent turnover towards the end of your roster. You're going to see guys off. You're going to see guys on. And I'm not just talking about elevating practice squad dudes. I'm talking about cutting guys like James and going out and maybe getting somebody else. Cutting somebody like Farms and going out and getting somebody else. But if this is the return of Gonzalez and you do keep Ballentine active and you want your 6 cornerbacks, you would have Gonzalez, Davis, Austin, Jones, Charles Woods, who you claimed from the Rams before the season, and Ballentine. Those would be your 6 corners. And I think you're solid if you've got Gonzalez and Davis, Austin and Jones, and then you've got, Woods and Ballentine, who you could interchange. You put them on special teams. Both guys are known for some special teams play. And you can always hope to upgrade as the season goes along on that depth. But I would like to see them settle and give their defensive backfield a chance to find the mojo, to find the chemistry, especially if Terrell Williams is going to call the type of defense that he called on Sunday, which was, we were ready for aggressive, but that was uber aggressive. Lots of blitzing, and you need a lot of communication. So you want to make sure that you have guys out on the field that have played snaps together. So I would like them to settle to see what they have with this cornerback group, even the Ballentines and the Woodses of the world. And then if you've got to move forward with somebody else, then make that decision a few weeks down the road. But I would like them to settle for at least a couple of weeks to see what they have, especially if Gonzalez does return. And if Gonzalez is back and you have what you wanted when you signed Carlton Davis, that will also help the safety room because your corner coverage should be so good. So we'll see. We'll see if this does mean the return of Christian Gonzalez, and we should find out over the next 24 hours or so if he's ready to go and get on the field. Up next, we'll tell you why Sunday should have left you with hope and concern regarding Josh McDaniels' offense. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. We're talking player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. I mean, sit there on a Sunday with your buddies, keeping up on all the latest action, thanks to FanDuel, is just awesome. Just awesome. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. I'm talking about quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. Again, right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So, question for you, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their Trade Master perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. And the Part Finder tools, 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people and, of course, real service. Josh McDaniels lacked a level of creativity in week one against the Raiders, and the million-dollar question is whether or not this offense will evolve. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but I want to start with the idea of what we saw from this offense on Sunday. And I'll begin with a complete lack of motion, pre-snap motion, motion at the snap. Jacob Gibbs from the Fantasy Football newsletter heading into Monday night put together this really cool graph and chart that you can see play action rate to go along with pre-snap motion rate. And you look at the offenses and how they approached their respective games. And the Patriots, they had less than 30% pre-snap motion in the NFL. You look at that number. What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. The Patriots heading into Monday night before that crazy Minnesota-Chicago game, heading into Monday night, the Patriots were 27th out of a possible 30 teams in pre-snap motion. Now, they did have more motion than Buffalo, but Buffalo has Josh Allen. They had more motion than Tennessee. And interestingly enough, they had more motion, if you look at it, not by much, but they had more motion than Vegas. So you had two offenses out there, Chip Kelly and Josh McDaniels' offense, not showing a lot of motion. And I don't remember, and I watched this game twice, I don't remember much misdirection. I don't remember much deception before the snap. It was a lot of vanilla looks. It really was. And if you're running less than 30% motion, to me, that's not enough. And it wasn't only in the passing game. It was also in the run game. The lack of motion in the run game was much less than ideal. Evan Lazar wrote about it at Patriots.com. The Pats ranked 30th in motion rate on designed run plays. 50% of the time they motioning at just the snap just 6 times. So you were overall under 30% in motion, which put you 27th out of 30th. And then you look at motion rate on designed runs, and you were 30th in the league. And then you motioned at the snap just 6 times. And if you're wondering, Josh McDaniels, when he was with Vegas was 32nd in the NFL. Last time I checked, that would be dead last. 32nd in the NFL in motion at the snap during his roughly year and a half as the Raiders head coach. Now, if you're wondering, where the motion when you're running the football, where that kind of stacks up, the Patriots were at 50%. Lazar writes, for comparison, the league average motion rate was 68.5%. So the Patriots were almost 20% below the average motion rate on designed run plays. Sean McVay loves this stuff. The Rams motioned on a league high 95.7% of their run plays. Just an astonishing number. So a lack of motion. What you see is what you get. And when you run an offense like that, you can be successful. Again, look at Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They're successful at what they do. Joe Brady is known as one of the smarter offensive minds in football, Buffalo's offensive coordinator. But if you're going to go with a lack of motion, if you're going to run that type of offense, you need to be great at it or you're DOA. Because defenses, if they know what's coming, if they are prepared, then they're going to get the best of you the vast majority of the time. So if you are going to run an offense without much misdirection or deception, then you better do what you do very, very well. And obviously, the Patriots did not do what they want to do very, very well against the Raiders. Now, I will say, so that's a concern, the lack of motion. I will say there are a couple of things that give me some hope. McDaniels did, in fact, use Drake Maye's legs against the Raiders. Now, he didn't use his legs a ton, and obviously you're not going to use Drake Maye's legs a ton in the run game when you don't run the football pretty much the entire second half. But McDaniels did use Drake Maye and his athleticism. They ran a speed option with Travion Henderson. They ran an RPO zone read. But of course, if you're going to run those types of plays, you got to block it up. And unfortunately, against the Raiders, the offensive line just did not block up the run game nearly enough, which I'm sure if McDaniels was thinking of running Maye more than he did, made him hesitate. And he said, you know what? I'm not going to risk it because I don't want to put Drake Maye in harm's way the way that we're not blocking up the run game. We're not getting the initial push. We're not getting to the second level enough. Our guys are not doing a great job of pulling when we ask them to. And some of the stuff that we ran, like the speed option with Henderson, it was a little bit clunky looking. So let's just take a step back. Let's not go crazy. But at least McDaniels showed. At least he showed some wiggle room within his offense to utilize Maye's athleticism. There was also a big passing game change, which gives me some hope. Dan Orlovsky posted months ago on Twitter this graphic of the Raiders offense under Josh McDaniels. And it looked at the NFL ranks from 22 and 23 through week 8 because McDaniels got popped after week 8 in 2023. And it looked at a couple of numbers, play action percentage and shotgun percentage. I want to focus on shotgun percentage. When McDaniels was with the Raiders in 22 and half of 23, the Raiders were 30th in the NFL in shotgun percentage at 53%. Greg Bedard at BSJ wrote about the Patriots using the shotgun versus under center. And according to Next Gen Stats, Drake Maye was in the shotgun on 85.2% of his dropbacks against the Raiders. That was the 9th most among qualified quarterbacks. Maye was only under center at 12.2%, which was 25th in the NFL. Now, yes, you can be predictable if you continue to have that massive gap of a split there between those two things, the shotgun and under center. But why this gives me hope, much like using Maye's athleticism, McDaniels is leaning in on what Drake Maye is comfortable with, which is the shotgun. Maye is much more comfortable in shotgun formation. So McDaniels has shown some wiggle room with that. 30th in the NFL with Derek Carr and company in Vegas for that year and a half. First game with the Patriots, back with the Patriots, Drake Maye, a guy who is very comfortable in the shotgun, you run it more than 85% of the time. So that shows a little bit of flexibility as a play caller. And it shows that he's trying to frame the offense around Maye, which gives me hope. As far as play action, well, if you don't run a lot under center, you're not going to have a lot of play action. And the play action rate was around 20%, which was about 20th out of 30 NFL teams heading into Monday night. But again, the lack of the run can be the reason why. And ultimately, just the question is, some of this stuff, when you look at it, the play action rate being low, the lack of motion, is this a case of McDaniels being stubborn and saying we do what we do? Or was this a case of McDaniels saying we've just got way too much new right now, and I don't want to throw a bunch of things at Drake Maye and the rest of these guys? Defensively, Terrell Williams threw a lot at that defense, and you saw them give up 9 plays of 20-plus yards. So this could be McDaniels being calculated, saying Maye is learning the scheme. We've got 4 out of 5 offensive linemen who are new to this football team. We've got a number of wide receivers who are new. We've got Henderson, who is new. So let's just try to go a little bit more vanilla early this season. Maybe that's it. But if we see that lack of motion as the weeks go on, that will cause me some concern. So some hope and some concern from week 1 when watching Josh McDaniels' offense and looking at the analytics. The more time passes, the more it feels like the Pats found a gem late in the 2023 draft. That's next as we continue with today's episode of Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's talk about Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how they craft every model. Stunning detail that will bring you back to the 2 dynastic runs in New England. The good times. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And here's something that's really cool. All-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, so you can drive with confidence through almost any season. And of course, we know how important that is up in the Northeast. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. This is unequivocal. Unequivocal. Kayshon Boutte is currently your number 1 wide receiver. Stephon Diggs had about 30 snaps on Sunday. Pop Douglas was mostly non-existent. Mac Hollins didn't do much. Kyle Williams barely got on the field. Kayshon Boutte is your number 1 guy. 6 catches, 103 yards, a very good start for Boutte. And one guy who wasn't surprised is Kayshon Boutte. This is transcribed from Doug Kyde of the Boston Herald. Yes, that rhymed. Quote, I think people failed to realize that at one point in time, I was a first-round pick just before my surgery. I think a lot of people doubt that I can do what I do, but I mean, I always knew what I can do. But for some people, it is a surprise. But to me, it's just always what I used to do. So Boutte's telling us, I'm talented, man. I'm talented enough to be a first-round pick. The only reason why I fell all the way down to the 6th round was because I had an injury that did not allow me to get out there and work out and give you the 40 times and all that good stuff. That hurt my value. And now I'm proving it. I'm proving it that I had the talent, and it was just an injury holding me back. And to the rest of the NFL, y'all messed up. And I'm telling you, I am taking Boutte seriously. I am taking him seriously. Last year, 43 catches, just under 600 yards and 3 touchdowns. And you think about how much of a mess 2024 was with that offense. I mean, it was an absolute disaster show. From the offensive coordinator to the offensive line to the quarterback play to the lack of weapons. You're starting running back fumbling the football every 15 carries or so, it felt like. It was a mess on offense. And Boutte somehow, some way finished with just under 45 catches and 600 yards. That's not too bad given the circumstances. And then he goes from last year, which you wonder, was that kind of fool's gold? What's going on there? You know, lack of other people being involved. And maybe, just maybe, it was by default Boutte did that. He walks into camp and he consistently made plays in camp and had a good camp. And there's no denying that Boutte has the chemistry with Maye. There's just no denying. You see Drake Maye being very comfortable throwing back shoulder to Boutte multiple times on Sunday, feeling like his guy is going to make a play. And a number of those plays, the coverage was tight, and Maye just believed. He just believed that Boutte was going to understand what he was trying to do, quarterback to receiver. So you see the chemistry. It is obvious. Now, the other thing about Boutte is there is a downfield element to his game, which brings the downfield element to this offense, which has been sorely lacking. Now, he hasn't been efficient downfield when you talk about, long distance shots taken. We've talked about that leading into the season. Not the most efficient vertical pass catcher, but he does help you in the intermediate to deeper areas. Taylor Kyles of CLNS before Monday Night Football posted that Boutte was tied for the lead in downfield catches. In the entire NFL, he had 6 downfield catches. We're not talking about 50-yard bombs, but making plays, giving you 15, 20 yards. And that matters in this offense. Now, the question for me, will we see the same type of Kayshon Boutte when a team decides to play more man coverage? Because the Raiders played almost 0 man coverage on Sunday. And so, with more man coverage, does Boutte have a little bit tougher of a time separating and making those plays? But there are 2 things that Greg Bedard brought up about Boutte's game on Sunday, which should make you feel at least somewhat good about his ability to make plays against man coverage. And that was the fact that Bedard thought Boutte's, route running was quote unquote great. And also Bedard noted at BSJ that Boutte played with real strength. So if you want to play man to man and you want to kind of press the receiver, can the receiver get through that jam? Can the receiver also play strong at the top of the route? And that's what you saw from Boutte on Sunday. So if he continues to bring great route running and real play strength, that should help him. Those are both elements that should help him against man coverage. And a really telling part of Boutte's performance was that he was trusted and came through in critical moments. We're not just talking about somebody who's making catches on first downs or, 2nd and 40s. We're talking about somebody who, if it's 3rd down, the quarterback, the OC, they trust Kayshon Boutte to make a play. Alex Barth of 98.5 pointed out that 5 of Boutte's 6 catches went for first downs. And the 6th catch came up just a yard short on a 2nd and 15. And when you start to look at the skill position players that Maye gets to work with, I would say it's pretty clear he trusts 2 guys. 2 guys that he is willing to do whatever and trusts with every fiber of his being. That's Hunter Henry and Boutte. So those 2 guys right now, I would consider them made men for Drake Maye. Henry and Boutte, made men. The question is, will Stephon Diggs become a made man? We saw that one big 3rd down conversion against the Raiders as a big play. Do we see more of that as Diggs rounds into shape? Does Travion Henderson get there sooner rather than later? Because if you've got Diggs and Boutte as your receivers and you got Henry at the tight end and you got Henderson coming in playing running back, if you have tight end, wide receiver, and running back with at least one guy who the quarterback trusts, that's big. And that should make the offense better. And it gives Maye some options. And you want to talk about options, it would be significant for this offense if Kayshon Boutte and Kyle Williams prove to be legitimate NFL wide receivers. It feels like Boutte is going to get there if he keeps going on this trajectory. If you get that out of Williams, now you've got at least your future number 2 receiver, number 3 receiver. And yes, Williams can play the boundary, but Williams has versatility to his game because he also brings yak. So if you get out of 2025 feeling like we've got the number 2 guy and number 3 guy, we've got them solid. We've got Williams and we've got Boutte. We feel good about that. Let's just go get that alpha. Because both Boutte and Williams can play the X. But they also have that versatility. Maybe you go out and get that alpha. I don't know, maybe like an A.J. Brown. And now you're cooking. That would be significant if Williams and Barmore prove themselves to be at least number 2 and number 3 receivers, respectively. All right, that wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen and for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at NickCRadio, and don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Hit that like button. That helps us a lot. If you're still watching, hit that like button, the thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. Let's continue to push these other Locked On shows. Patriots fan base, show up big time. Subscribe to this channel. And thank you for making Locked On Patriots your first listen today. And the NFL season, it's finally here. So for your second listen, get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast. Tyler Rowland and Tony Wiggins got you over there. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day. And coming up tomorrow, we will have the crossover. We'll talk Dolphins Patriots coming up tomorrow. Till then, be well.